斯威士兰，一个位于非洲南部的内陆小国，总面积约1.74万平方公里，大小与北京市相当。2025年全国人口约125万。这里是世界上少数几个仍实行绝对君主制的国家之一，也是非洲唯一未与中华人民共和国建交的国家。目前仍与我国台湾地区维持所谓邦交关系。正是在这片至今仍被国王艾滋病和资本控制的土地上，新的革命力量正在孕育。斯威士兰共产党自2011年成立以来，斯威士兰共产党始终坚持反对君主专制、追求民主进步的立场，也始终坚持一个中国原则，反对台湾独立，逐步成为推动斯威士兰社会变革不可忽视的进步力量。近日，我们与斯威士兰共产党总书记托克扎内库内内对话，请他为我们讲述共产党人在遥远非洲大陆的斗争经历。
I was born in 1973 in the far east of Swaziland, the most rural and isolated place, being a third of a family of six. My parents, my father was working in the plantation industry, in the forest industry for some years. All my family members were illiterate, and I grew up there. Spent my whole life in the rural drilling of the environment as a head boy, working also on the subsistence life of the family. That is where I was exposed in some more conditions of struggles. I remember one of the particular case was in the death of Chris Hani in 1993. I was doing my second high school level, and at his death there was a drama group from South Africa that performed in memory of Chris Hani, and it touched so many of us. But also to illustrate that in my rural village where I was born, we were exposed into hardship of apartheid treatment, because in the neighborhood they will come in, sometimes bump over our livestock and then beating us and so on. It was all that life. So we developed the hatred. But moreover, we're far more exposed into the South African struggles in different ways. So when I reached my high school, and exposed to the death of Chris Hani and the drama, actually, not only myself, but many people were enlightened to a point that within few weeks of the presentation by the drama group from the South African underground movement about Chris Hani's death, we also embarked in a strike in the school, and the strike was planned in my class. Fortunately, I was not part of those that were in the leaders of the campaign, and eventually I find myself exempted from being punished. But I think we systematically supported those who were punished. And then from then, after the strike, I think things didn't change. And my life actually changed then. Said, no, I've got an identity now. There's a cause of struggle, and there's a cause of action that one must engage on. After finishing my high school, I then worked in a farm in Malkens, which is a bit more inland, for 1.5 years. And I also exposed to the hardship of working with mega wages, then the hard work on the ground, and also could see the exploitation. And then in early 1996, the workers were protesting the popular 1996 Must Stay Away that crippled the regime, that also exposed the country's struggles internationally. And at that point, I participated in the protest without being organized, but I joined the protest. I learned and I saw the magnitude of how people were involved and participated in the protest activity. And at that same year, I was enrolled in the university, where I was exposed to many things now, and also to the movement. I must state it clearly that I was able to see the movement in my university life. And at that period, I was my first orientation year. What was very important, my enrollment was on social science. So I think what was very cynical at that moment was the professor was Professor Ngwisha from the social science department. Being a student in the social science, I was very keen to actually listen to who is the head of the department, what is he to say. Because at that orientation, every lecturer, every head of department, faculty would come up and produce. Our head of faculty then said, "Welcome to UNISA," which was the University of Swaziland, and he said, "Welcome to the world of knowledge." His words as they were, he said, those who are here to learn, will come up different. If you are prepared to learn, you will come to learn, but you will be told many things here. that things are fine in the university, but there's nothing fine. If everything would be fine, I think there would be no need to also for you to come up here and then be exposed into some other conditions, which I said you will see. There was an applause from the entire hall, which was almost all students who were enrolled in the first year were there. But that applause also indicated to me that, yes, this is true, the university environment is a learning environment and the struggles will be continuing there. And I said, then I was home, I was in the right place for knowledge. I was in the right place also to pursue what I think is the background of my life and also the situation I'm in now. In my first year, I was exposed to the movement. I was also then participating in the activism. I was involved in the recruitment of students to join the movement, and I was elected in the same year as the deputy chairperson of the branch of SWAYOCO, the Swaziland Youth Congress, which was the youth league, which is the youth league of PUDEMO, People's United Democratic Movement, which was the main movement that was organizing in the forces in the country. And then leading there, subsequently, I became also exposed to more other comrades outside the campus environment. And then that life actually made me also now, because I was then elected chairperson in the coming year, in the subsequent year, 1997. Then in the course of my pursuit of leading the organization, I also understood most of the requirements of the movement. And also at that same period, there was the harshness of the regime, which was trying to regain after the 1996 strikes. It was also now becoming more harsher, more comrades were killed, brutalized, and so on and so on. I think I was exposed. One lecturer also in my third year said, he said, when he was young, he used to be a Marxist, but after growing up, he realized that being a Marxist was not there. And the entire class was looking at me and laughing at me. I raised up my hand and I responded. In the course of my response, within the same interaction, my lecturer also changed of view and tried to explain it better than he had said before. And I realized that some other members in the class felt that we were disrupting the classes and they left the class. But we continued and pursued. But at some levels, with the same condition and the same momentum. But what was more important was that at that period of my sacrifices and the period of my involvement, things were shifting. Things were pushing up to another angle. And that was from 2000 to 2001 and up to 2002. And then in the 2002 condition, I realized therefore that there is now a very strong base for the movement, both in rural and also in urban, both in the trade union movement and also in the campus. And moreover, we are going to schools because we had to organize and build the student organization in the schools. So, and in that environment, things were showing that there's normality. The missing element was now how to pursue the struggle beyond the realities of the peaceful means. And I became involved in organizing for the armed struggle. And I will remember that at that period, there was also now an instigation that we are pursuing a mission illegal in South Africa. And South Africa said, those people who are doing such work must be arrested with immediate effect. And we realized that things were not going to work in our way. Then we started to organize and prepare ourselves and said, in the course of the pursuit, what was the missing element? And then in the whole, because the entire contingent of our forces was more oriented on Marxism-Leninism. The entire program, the strength of the movement was now on the basis of Marxism-Leninism. And we're seen as a Marxist-Leninist faction within the movement and a faction against the pro-monarchy formation. And our exile actually made that the pro-monarchy faction assumes control. And when it assumes control, it had to isolate the communists, it had to isolate the Marxists. And therefore, it becomes immediate that our responsibility now was to be the Communist Party. And the crisis were immediately realized within 2011. It was a period where there was a rise of the people because cost of living were high, and it was so clear because that revenue is actually coming in to be spent immediately. It is the financer of the remuneration of public sector workers. All the projects in the country are dependent on the SACU receipts. And if therefore they have been cut, the crises were immediate. And that is why the middle class of the country left the country there and there. And it was an open crisis and the workers were rising. Then in the course of the rising, we then said, this rise cannot go without the element of the Communist Party. Therefore, we brought closer the launch of the party to the 9th of April, 2011. And in that case, the Communist Party establishment, the whole class struggle in the country has changed. And the SL fight has changed to this level. And with the growth and the life of the Communist Party from that period, we could mark it very significant that the life of the party was associated with the propaganda work that was very stirring and very rallying. As such, we are the main group that has more followers in the social media platform. We have also been agitating in that level. We're also giving clear perspective. We are also producing press statements, and we're also connecting with the world at that period. And the struggle of Swaziland was also now recognized internationally more than it was before because of our establishment.